You all know the drill by this point. 2021 playoff predictions for all three national series. If I get them right, cool, I get bragging rights. If I get any of them wrong, it doesn't matter. These predictions were made back before the season started anyways. It's no big deal. This is just for fun. As always, I'm gonna be very conservative with these predictions. And by conservative, I mean extremely conservative, because this is the year, 2021 is the year where all three national series are actually pretty stacked in their playoff fields compared to last year. So if I get any of them wrong, and there's a high chance I do, it doesn't matter. I just want to see how much of my predictions I got right, so let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off with the best series in NASCAR. I love the Truck Series. As always, the Truck Series has a pretty stacked playoff field. Even with the expansion from 8 playoff drivers to 10 last year, the playoff field is still pretty stacked. As of right now, I have 17 drivers that have at the very least a chance to make the playoffs. But after giving it some thought, these are the 10 drivers that I think will make the Truck Series playoffs. I have Sheldon Creed, John Hunter Nemechek, Zane Smith, Austin Hill, Matt Crafton, Brett Moffitt, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith, Todd Gilliland, and Derek Krause. So for the other 7 drivers that I believe are going to be part of the playoff bubble but in the end are not going to make it, Chase Purdy, Rafael Lessard, Tyler Ankrum, Hailie Deegan, Tanner Gray, Johnny Sauter, and Stuart Friesen. Those are drivers that I believe they have a chance to make the playoffs, either by wins or on points, but ultimately they would not make it. And here's why. Tyler Ankrum, the main reason I don't have him making the playoffs is because the playoff field is simply put, the playoff field this season is pretty stacked. There's new faces like John Hunter Nemechek and Chandler Smith that show a lot of promise, and they can actually give them more of a chance of making the playoffs than someone like Tyler Ankrum, who just barely made it on points last season. You could say the same thing for Derek Krause. However, for Derek Krause, I believe I actually see him winning a race this season. Tyler Ankrum, I just don't see him winning a race, unlike Derek Krause, and I believe that's going to be the main difference that will put Derek Krause in the playoffs and will knock Tyler Ankrum out. For Rafael Lessard and Tanner Gray, I put these two guys together because I basically have the same thing to say about both of them. They showed flashes in 2020, but for the most part they were mid-pack drivers at best. So I don't think very much of them. Chase Purdy and Hailie Deegan, they're rookies. And with how stacked the playoff field is, I don't want to put pressure on them. You don't want to put pressure on rookies to just start winning right out the gate and make the playoffs. That's not how it works. I believe they're going to show flashes like Rafael Lessard and Tanner Gray did last season, but they will ultimately miss the playoffs. And finally, Stuart Friesen, much like Tyler Ankrum, Stuart Friesen is facing an uphill climb to make the playoffs. He was kind of a disappointment last season because when he switched over to Toyota and had that alliance with Kyle Busch Motorsports, many people expected Stuart Friesen to return to the championship four, but instead he struggled a lot. Of course, some of it was bad luck, but also some of it was him shooting himself in the foot. And with the playoff field right now looking more competitive, it's going to be an uphill climb for Stuart Friesen for him to just immediately come back into the playoffs. I need to see it to believe it. And finally, Johnny Sauter. At this point, I've just given up on Johnny Sauter. The only reason I'm putting him here is because he's driving a Ford Sport car. The only way I can see him winning the playoffs is if he wins a race. But Even if he does, he's not going to be competitive. I just given up on Johnny Sauter. He should be splitting time into 13 with Christian Ekens instead of Grant Enfinger, but whatever, that's ThorSport logic, I guess. So moving on to the Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series now actually has 14 drivers that I believe can actually make the playoffs, which is a far cry from just the 10 drivers we had and then the two like filler spots to fill out the playoff grid. Now this time there are 14 drivers that I can legit see making it into the playoffs. But of course, only 12 can make it. And the 12 drivers that I got making the Xfinity Series playoffs are Austin Cindric, Noah Gragson, Justin Allgaier, Justin Haley, Harrison Burton, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, Brandon Jones, Riley Herbst, Shep Burton, Myatt Snyder, and Michael Annett. So immediately, the big shocker is gonna be, where's Ryan Sieg? Well, it's pretty simple. I got two reasons actually. Of course, the first reason being that the playoff field is just way too stacked. It's gonna be hard to put Ryan Sieg over any of these guys. But of course, it's not impossible. I mean, Ryan Sieg has really grown this past 2 seasons, so I wouldn't put it over him to just point his way into the playoffs. But I'm just saying it's gonna be hard because Ryan Sieg is not as consistent as many people think he is. He was actually more inconsistent in 2020 than he was in 2019. And when you're racing for points, that actually matters. The only way I can see Ryan Sieg in the playoffs is if he wins a race. And same thing goes for Brandon Brown, which is the other guy that I have that I give him somewhat of a chance to make the playoffs. But in the case of Brandon Brown, he's mostly here because he made the playoffs last year. In all reality, in all honesty, he doesn't really stand a chance against these other guys. But then again, you never know. This guy might actually pull off a miracle win at some super speedway like Daytona or Talladega, or some rain-shortened win, and boom, he's in the playoffs. He may knock somebody like Michael Annett out of the playoffs. So all I'm gonna say is the Xfinity Series is looking pretty interesting on the playoffs. The Xfinity Series playoffs is looking pretty interesting on like the past couple of seasons, and I'm really excited because the Xfinity Series has shown the Xfinity Series has been pretty underrated on the racing product. It just hasn't been competitive in recent years because of the lack of quality drivers. But this time, they have the drivers, and I expect the racing product to remain the same for the most part. So I'm just saying, Xfinity Series is looking pretty exciting to watch this season. Now, when it comes to the big boys in the Cup Series, check this out. I got 23 drivers that I actually have 23 drivers that have somewhat of a chance to make the playoffs. 23. When I say the 2021 season is going to be one of the most exciting seasons in recent memory, I'm not lying. Especially on the Cup Series, it's gonna look pretty competitive. Not only the championship battle, but also the playoff battle. There are a lot of drivers that actually have a chance to win a race or make it in on points. Of course, out of those 23, there can only be 16. And I'm gonna be extremely honest with you. I'm not confident in this Cup Series predictions. Like, I only have like 13 drivers that I have guaranteed making the playoffs. The rest of them, the remaining 3 spots, are a crapshoot. But I'll do my best. So for the Cup Series, I have Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Joe Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, and Eric Almirola, just barely snagging that last spot on points. So when it comes to Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, I have them in the playoffs because of that big Hendrick RCR alliance on the Chevrolet camp. This alliance is going to because of this alliance, I expect Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick to have breakout seasons. I have them both winning a race, actually. And this is actually the best I have seen RCR look in recent years. And I believe this is a year that we can finally see two RCR cars in the playoffs. The first time since 2017. And Eric Almirola, look, I know Eric Almirola is overrated. I know he's coming off the best season of his career, but he's still overrated because the only thing you're telling me that the only thing he can do on Stewart-Haas racing equipment is score top 5s and top 10s. Like, I get it, but when it comes to playoffs and racing for points, Almirola is one of the best at doing so. Almirola is the master of attrition, I feel like. And when it comes to battling and racing for points in the playoffs, if you're not racing for wins, you gotta be racing for points. And Almirola, I feel he's pretty good at that. I believe that's gonna end up giving him one of those last few playoff spots in the bubble. And also, he made the playoffs in 2020. Last season, he made the playoffs pretty comfortably. So, for him to go from one of the best bubble drivers to missing the playoffs, I just don't see that happening. And now for the drivers that didn't make it, Ryan Newman and Chris Buescher, the only way I see either of them in the playoffs is if they win a race. Cole Custer, I mean, aside from that win at Kentucky, his rookie season was pretty unremarkable. If I'm being honest, I'm giving Tyler Reddick more of a chance to make the playoffs than Cole Custer. So there you go. For Matt DiBenedetto, I mean, he barely made the playoffs. And many people forget that last year, it took Kyle Larson being suspended, Matt Kenseth having a bad season, Ryan Newman missing some time with his injury at Daytona, and even Jimmy Johnson missing a race due to the virus at Indianapolis. It took all that for Matt DiBenedetto to barely sneak his way into the playoffs. I don't think DiBenedetto is gonna make it back into the playoffs with how stacked the field is this time, unless he wins. We've been waiting for Wood Brothers Racing 100th win, and everybody's been hyping up DiBenedetto for him to be the guy that gives Wood Brothers Racing their 100th win. And it may happen, but if I'm a betting man, I would not bet on it. I mean, he could win, but I don't think he will win in the regular season. I think that win will come in the playoffs. And by then, DiBenedetto will be out of the playoffs. Another guy that people are hyping up a lot is Bubba Wallace. Many people are saying that Bubba Wallace will win 2 races and make it to round of 12. Again, I just don't see it. As of right now, 2311 Racing looks promising, but we haven't seen anything from it. I'm the type of person that I'll see it when I believe it. And right now, what I believe is that 2311 Racing will be Levine Family 2.0. That's all I'm seeing right now. Unless Bubba Wallace proves me wrong, which I'm all in for it because I like Bubba Wallace and I want him to succeed. So I want Bubba Wallace to prove me wrong. I want Bubba Wallace to win a race and make his way into the playoffs and shut up all those haters. But as of right now, until I see it with my own eyes, I don't have Bubba Wallace making the playoffs. Ross Chastain, I mean, we all know how bad the 42 car was when Kyle Larson was not driving it. So I don't think Chastain is gonna turn that 42 team around in just one season. I don't see him making the playoffs either. And finally, Chase Briscoe. Many people are saying that Briscoe is gonna have to win to make his way into the playoffs, and I actually agree. But then again, Chase Briscoe is just a rookie. I don't want to put that pressure into him of him winning a race and making the playoffs. He's a rookie after all. He's a very talented rookie at that, and if he wins a race and makes the playoffs because of that win, I mean, well, I'll be damned. Congratulations, Briscoe. But outside of that, but if I'm honest with you, again, the Cup Series playoff bubble is very competitive. So it's not a guarantee, even with SA Tire equipment, it's not a guarantee that Briscoe will win in his rookie year, or make the playoffs in his rookie year. I mean, we saw Cole Custer, he needed a last lap pass at Kentucky to win and make his way into the playoffs. Of course, I gave him Briscoe more of a chance to winning his rookie year than I gave Cole Custer. But I'm just saying, if he doesn't win a race or doesn't make the playoffs, I won't be surprised. I would not hold that against him. Briscoe is a talented driver, but the Cup Series is different from the Xfinity Series. The jump from Xfinity to Cup is really insane. We have seen drivers such as Daniel Suarez that have won championships in the Xfinity Series and be just mid-pack drivers in the Cup Series. Look at Christopher Bell, for example, a driver that could have gone back-to-back in the Xfinity Series. He's a mid-pack driver in the Cup Series. Same thing with Cole Custer and Tyler Reddick. These rookies take time to develop. So we cannot just put playoff expectations immediately on them just because of their success in the Xfinity and the Truck Series. That's not how it works. So anyways, we have reached the end of these playoff predictions. Again, like and subscribe if you want to. Comment down below what you think of the video and what are your predictions. Do you agree or disagree with me? What will you change? And the NASCAR season is upon us, so expect some more content coming out from me. And until next time, peace out, guys.